Well, good morning. Granny Gear here for Old Guy and a Bike. You say you've got a big event coming up. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be long, maybe a one long day, maybe multi-days, gravel bike, road bike, mountain bike, whatever. You know, you want to give yourself the best chance of success, don't you? Because if you do it wrong, you can sabotage yourself even before the event starts. We don't want to do that. So in this video, I'll be talking about how I prep for one of the biggest one-day events that I've ever done in 40 years of cycling. All right, let's get going on this Tech Tuesday. You know, we cyclists, we do like to push ourselves, don't we? We strive for maybe your first century, your first double, maybe a multi-day event, maybe it's a gravel race or whatever it's going on. Now, I'm not a coach and I'm not a racer per se, but there are some things I think can apply to everybody, but mostly the everyday guy and gal who are going to be pushing themselves into their bigger event. There are some things I think that are really good to think about, and I'm going to think about them out loud in this Tech Tuesday video. Now, first of all, I had to choose a bike for the event, didn't I? I had to get something I could rely on, I was comfortable with, that was appropriate for the day. And this ride had 154 miles and over 15,000 feet of climbing, most all of it in the first half of the event. That meant a bike that was going to be light, reliable, and efficient, and that, in this case, is my Time 80HX. Now you can see in the video here, as I had it set up for the ride, I had two big bottles in it. I only had 2 cages, but the sag stops were about 2 hours apart, so 1 bottle an hour was about correct. I have some extra storage bags on it, and I had some other things with me. I added lighting, etc., and we'll talk about those in the video. But the Time 80HX was the right type of bike for this event. And here's the important part. It was a bike I knew, I was comfortable with, it's proven. I had a track record. I know I could get on it, ride it for hours and miles, not be in pain. And it was the right type of bike for the event. And you may not always have the perfect type of bike for the event, but if it's one you're comfortable with, comfort and efficiency for something like this trumps lightweight and cutting edge technology, electronic shifting, all that. That isn't as necessary as just having a bike that's proven and you know and you like to ride. Now you do need to assess if your bike is ready mechanically, of course. And there's a couple aspects to that. Are the tires on there the right kind of tires? Do you need to go up and down a size? Is your gearing adequate, etc., etc.? I had to make some changes to the 80HX. The tires and wheels on this are stunners for this type of ride. These Rolf Prima Aries 4 ARs are incredible wheel set. The tires, these Specialized Turbo S and 30s, fast, tubeless. I was ready to go for that. But I did want to change the gearing. Now the gearing on this bike typically is a SRAM Rival crank. It's Access, it's 48-35, 48 teeth, 35 teeth, big ring, small ring, with a 10-36 rear cassette, which for around here where I live is very adequate. However, this is a big day in the mountains, and so I downsized to a 46-33 front crank. My goal being able to spin or come very, very close to spinning a 10% grade. Now that worked out very, very well, and I'm probably going to leave this on the bike. I want to see if I can live with it long term, that gearing. I think I actually can. But the point was, I did assess the bike's needs and my needs for the day, and if I was going to make any changes, well, I wanted to make it far in advance, which brings me to the second part of the video. When do you need to look at making these types of changes, and when do you need to start assessing your bike mechanically? I say at least a week ahead of time. If you're going to do any major changes, do any upgrades, do any mechanical work on it, do it at least a week ahead of time. Do not make a big change, make a big repair. Please don't do that the day before, the night before the event. Not ride your bike and then show up and find out that something is not right and it's too late to repair it. So when I had to swap the crank, I had to readjust the front derailleur, I had to shorten my chain. I also changed the rear tire to a new one. I wanted some fresh rubber on there. I need to reseal both sealant in both front and rear tires, and I changed my rear brake pads. I assessed my bike. Is it fresh? If your bike has been having like some creaky noise or some clicky noise and you're thinking, I don't know exactly what that is, please go get that checked out before your big event. What if it's your bottom bracket getting ready to self-destruct and during your event, it jumps off the cliff? If you can't do that yourself, and a lot of people can't, that's why they make bike mechanics and bike shops. Take it to a trusted shop, maybe a trusted club member, maybe there's someone that you really know is solid mechanically. But those are times that the pros should really have their hands on your bike. But do it far enough ahead of time, because if they do it wrong or you need a part ordered or something, you want to be able to get that done before your event is in front of you and it's too late. Things that you can wait for, such as, the day before and the night before, those are things like get your chain lubed, right? Go by, squeeze your tires, make sure that they're still holding air. Do you have all the things with you that you need for the ride sorted either in a kit bag or in your gear bag or on the bike? And are they all charged? For instance, I ride with safety lights, these little safety lights. These are Trek Montrager. These are their flare and the ion, and they're awesome. They're light, they're small, they're not terribly expensive. They last a long time and they're bright. Now I brought a front light and two of the rear lights. This is the front light. I brought two of the rear lights with me because they only last about maybe 10, 12 hours, and it turned out I was out there 16. So this is so small, so light. I just had a spare and I swapped it out when the other one was starting to get low. Loved having these. I also needed a light to start with so I could see, and I use this little Sigma Buster 400, and this is small, decently light, and I could see quite well at 400 lumens in the early dawn and into dusk. Worked out really well for me. Now I also had my Wahoo Element Bolt computer, and I had that charged and I had that with me, but also, and maybe the day before may not be enough. In this case, if you're putting a route on it, do you know how to do that? Do you know the route's there? So put the route on your computer. If you don't know how to do that, practice ahead of time. Get into something like Ride with GPS, learn how to create a route, do it, put it on your computer, put your computer on your bike, do something just around your neighborhood. It can be 2 miles, it doesn't matter. Bring the route up, activate it, go follow it, make sure you're comfortable with that process, because the day of the event, you turn your computer on, you find out the route isn't there, you got the wrong route, or you don't know how to make it work. That is a bummer. Practice, 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 be prepared, know how to use this and make sure the route is actually there. I also added some storage to the ADHX for the day because I wanted to carry all my own nutrition, and nutrition is going to be the next video. And so I needed to add a little bit of capacity. I did that a couple of different ways. One was this lovely little bag from Ornaut. Now Ornaut, thank you for sending this to me at no charge. This is one of their little burrito handlebar bags. It is so cool. It's so well made. I mean, this thing is built like a tank. You can actually zip it and unzip it with one hand, which is a total win. Some of these little bags, they're so flippy, floppy, messy, you can't. It held all my own powdered nutrition in here. Also things like lip balm, sunscreen, stuff like that. Super, super thing. This went on the handlebars of the front of the ADX. And I took my half frame bag from my Turner Cyclosis gravel bike, my Apodura frame bag, put that on the ADHX, as you can see in the video. I don't love that bag. It's got some flaws that bug the heck out of me, but it's what I've got for now, and it worked for the day. I had my camera in there. I could put extra clothing in there if I needed it, and I brought a lot of my own food, and that went in there as well as things like pumps and plug kits and things like that, right? So that was the equipment on the ADHX and how I set it up. But here's the takeaway. Do not make major changes before the event. Do not, in other words, go into battle with an unproven weapon. What about what you're wearing? Where I wore a very lightweight jersey and a meshy tank base on. I almost always wear a base unless it's going to be extremely humid and hot. But around here, typically it's not that humid. I like wearing a base. I think that gives me that swamp cooler effect. But I wore a real light one and a very lightweight jersey so it breathed well. And it was a light color for all that sunlight. Shorts though, shorts. These are my best pair of shorts that I own. These are made by Castelli. It's their Rossa Corsa. It's an expensive pair of shorts. I've only got one pair of them. I almost never wear them. If I'm going to burn out a pair of shorts on the coffee rides and all the weekly gravel bike rides and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to be a $250 or whatever these are pair of shorts. No, it's going to be something that's priced reasonably well and is good for that 4-hour or 6-hour ride. These are 200-mile shorts right here. It's nice to have a pair of shorts like this if you can afford one pair or so to have in your kit. However, the point to that is not that you need an expensive short, but that don't wear a cheap short Well, let's put it this way. You want to have a pair of shorts on that you feel comfortable and confident in. Don't try a new pair of the day of, and that pair of shorts you got on Amazon for 20 bucks or from China or wherever, that's easy to do these days. I don't know. I mean, you know what? If your butt's getting wrecked out there on the ride, man, that can ruin your ride for sure. So think about that. Good cycling kit is worth the investment. And, you know, I use this fancy Abus Aero helmet. And I would have thought, you know, I spent a lot of time moving at under 10 miles an hour climbing that day. This helmet did great for me. I'm super impressed with it. I never would have bought one of these. You know, I did a video on this talking more about Abus and all the other helmets they make. But it's really impressed me. Even walking my bike up a hill 3 miles an hour in 100-degree full sun did great. And you know what? If it saved me a few watts here and there on the 80 miles of faster part of the ride on the downhill, if I was efficient moving through the air, well, that's not a bad thing, is it? I also needed a pair of sunnies, as they call them down in Australia. I like that, sunnies. That's pretty cool. I need a good pair of eyewear, and I chose the Stash. This is from Tifosi. And this has all the coverage I needed for the day. It's a comfortable pair of glasses. Has a little bottom rim to it, if that interests you. And it has their transitional lens. I forget what they call it. I'll put it up on the screen. But these were great to have all day, from beginning into very, very low light, ending in low light, and having a lot of light in the high Sierras through the day. These were perfectly adequate for the whole day. I really enjoy using Tifosi eyewear. They sent this to me at no charge, these and these as well. What do you think of these? Are these good looking? Anyway, enjoying the support from Tifosi. They like the channel, and I like using their eyewear. I used it way before I even had this channel, and they even knew I existed. It's just good value and good performance in eyewear. And these days, well, why spend more than you need to? Let's wrap this up, shall we? That was a very successful day on the bike for me with the climb to Kaiser. Would I like to do it again and maybe do it a little better? Yeah, maybe, and we'll see. But in the meantime, it worked, and everything on the bike worked, and everything I had for me and with me worked very, very well. But it took planning, and I wanted to have my best chances of having a successful day. You can do that too with a little bit of thought and a little bit of planning. You can go have your best day, your hardest day on the bike. All right, that's it for now. Granny Gear out for this old guy and bike. And you guys have a great week and or weekend. And as always, go ride your bikes, but maybe do it with some smart planning. All right, you guys take care.